for Trev's Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching, it's too sweet. Anyway, something new. Figured a long time ago, probably around the same time I started this channel, I was going to talk about defunct teams, the teams that are no longer in the league, haven't been in the team for a long time, moved, relocated, folded, whatever. Today we're starting that. And today we're talking about the first defunct team in league history, the Montreal Wanderers. Let's talk about it. Firstly, you'll have to forgive the backdrop and the choice of jersey. I have nothing close to resembling anything Montreal in my jersey collection. So, having said that, story of the Montreal Wanderers is simple. They play 4 games, the arena burned down the end. No, we're not going out like that. We're actually going to tell an actual story of the Montreal Wanderers. So the Wanderers were officially formed in 1903 and had played in many different leagues around Canada before joining the National Hockey Association. In between that time, between 1903 and 1910, even 1911, they had a nice rivalry with the Ottawa Senators, the original Ottawa Senators, where in between that time, they were either Cup winners or Cup challengers, a total of 10 times, having won the Cup outright 4 times. The only team that came in between the Wanderers and the Senators were the Kenora Thistles, and they beat the Wanderers for the Cup and then lost it back to the Wanderers a month later. This is back when they still had the Challenge Cup. So, Cup winners were, sometimes you had 2 or 3 in a year. It was a much different system than how it is today. Then along came the National Hockey Association. And for their part, their first season was great. They won the O'Brien Cup, which was the league championship for the NHA, as well as the Stanley Cup that year, before plummeting down the stats and being in familiar Montreal Wanderers territory, losing a lot. Having said that, their only winning season, not counting the 1910 season, was in 1914-15, when they actually managed to tie for first in the league before losing to the Senators in the playoffs. Story of their lives, right? Right. But with the folding of the National Hockey Association and the formation of the NHL, the Wanderers were accepted as one of 4 teams, well, 5 if you count the Bulldogs, who we will talk about eventually. One of 5 teams allowed into the league. And they played opening night, December 19th, 1917, against Toronto Arenas, where they won that game 10-9. But that seemed to be the only bright spot to what would have been their only season. They were having attendance problems, and they were having player personnel problems. They had to reach out to other clubs to borrow players, and actually managed to get a guy named Hap Holmes, out of Seattle from the PCHA. But that didn't really solve anything. They lost. I think overall, I have this written down somewhere, their overall goal against total was 17 goals for and 35 goals against. And that's in 4 games. Could you imagine that flying now? Oh, that team would be in so much trouble. Their player personnel problem got to be so bad that the NHL actually had to step in, because none of the other teams wanted to loan players, be it from the NHL or from any other outside league of the NHL. It was that bad. And wouldn't you know it? A stroke of fate. January 2nd, 1918. Montreal Arena, which was housing the Wanderers and the Canadiens at the same time, burns to the ground. It's gone. There's nothing left. The foundations are done. And of course, at this time, there was the appeal to, hey, help us out with more players. There was even a group in Hamilton that wanted to house them just so they can get back on their feet and play more games. But being down and out, having attendance problems, having player problems, Wanderers owner Sam Lichtenheim decided to suspend operations outright altogether on January 4th, 1918. And that is how the Wanderers ended. Done. Just not in the league anymore. But it's not to say that there weren't bright spots in the Wanderers' story. I mean, they had great players. They had great coaches. When you got guys like Dickie Boone, Sprague Cleghorn, Jimmy Gardner, Joe Hall. We'll talk about Joe Hall at some point. Jack Marshall, Lester Patrick, Art Ross, just to name a few. They had the superstars. They just couldn't put together the wins. And granted, this would not be the last secondary franchise in Montreal, which we will talk about eventually when it comes to the Maroons. But that is the unfortunate tale of the Montreal Wanderers and their lone 4-game season. So that was episode 54 of Trev's Hockey Show. I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership always means so much to me. Always has, always will. Don't forget, I do appreciate when you guys do tune in and watch. It gives me that good old feeling. But if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to, help this channel get up to 50 subs by pushing that little red button in the corner there. And stay up to date with all the content I'm putting out. If you want to, you can find Trev's Trade Page on Facebook at Trev's Trade Page. You can find the parent channel on Facebook at Trev's TV, and you can find me on Instagram at RockstarTrevTV. Moving forward, as far as the Defunct clubs is going, there's a few, and we'll talk about as many as we can. Ultimately, I'd like to talk about all of them, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If you're looking for a next team, I guarantee you, well, I can't even say I guarantee you, but a next team that we would probably talk about would be the Quebec Bulldogs. But again, we'll know more when we know more. But having said all that, in the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from the Trev. Later.